Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome back to our channel once again. Allow me to begin this video by asking you this simple question. Do you think William Ruto can arrest Rigathi Gachagua? I just need a yes or no. And do you think Mount Kenya can erupt should Rigathi Gachagua be arrested? Because clearly William Ruto is planning to arrest Rigathi Gachagua. Yesterday, Oscar Sudi said something. And that statement by Oscar Sudi, for me, is significant political speaking. Because Oscar Sudi is not your ordinary politician. Oscar Sudi speaks for William Samoei Arap Ruto. And anytime you want to get the thinking of William Ruto on any difficult issue, you don't need to look for William Ruto and listen to him. Just look for Oscar Sudi, understand Oscar Sudi and what he's saying. I want you guys to listen to Oscar Sudi because the statement by Oscar Sudi is actually revealing William Ruto's plan to arrest Rigathi Gachagua.
Waminyoro, naona umeenda incitement yako ya kawaida. Unasema ati Susan ameomba sijui rais washike nani? Sijui Mbarika anasema ameomba rais washike nani? Hapana, hawa ndio walipanga demonstrations. Ukiwa wewe ndio financial ya hiyo mambo yote ilifanyika. So wacha hiyo unasema ati sijui wamepangio kisiasa. Hiyo sio siasa. Baada yao ni wewe tunashika. Uwezi ukatoa pesa ya kuharibu mali ya watu kwa sababu ya siasa. Uwezi ukokuwa ukiongea kila siku hate na kuchochea wananchi na kuchoma police station na kutaka kunyang'anya polisi bunduki. Hiyo ni inji gani hiyo? Haitakuwa hii inji. So jua baada ya hawa ni wewe unashika next. So acha hiyo story unasema hapo kando.
No, that's Oscar Sudi. Oscar Sudi was actually responding to this statement by Rigathi Gachagua.
But our greatest concern, where we need help, is the decision that was made last Saturday in State House when the president summoned all the police commanders and ordered an onslaught and persecution of our community. And it has begun in earnest. Out of the more than 400 people who have been arrested, 92% are people from this region. On trumped-up charges, no evidence, nothing. Just as my aunt here had told me, that this community shall face persecution.
Yesterday, I did an in-depth analysis about that statement by Rigathi Gachagua. And the question now is, when will William Ruto go ahead and arrest Rigathi Gachagua? In this video, I want us to understand why William Ruto is now planning to arrest Rigathi Gachagua. Before we do that, for those who are watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. Because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, allow me to dive in. The first question which we should ask ourselves, why do you think William Ruto has never attempted to arrest Rigathi Gachagua despite what clearly qualifies to be provocation by Rigathi Gachagua? Why? For me, I've always believed that, number one, William Ruto feared the rebellion from Mount Kenya. Remember, William Ruto was voted overwhelmingly by the mountain. He entered into some agreement with Raila Odinga. Despite that, Raila Odinga has been cold and hot. So which means there's no way William Ruto was going to commit to arrest Rigathi without surety from Raila Odinga. I think now that's now very clear. Raila Odinga is now fully with William Ruto, and therefore William Ruto can go ahead and arrest Rigathi Gachagua. Number two, William Ruto wanted to avoid this case of betrayal because he assured his supporters when he was campaigning most of them were the mountain, that he will never betray his deputy, who was Rigathi Gachagua then, the way Uhuru Kenyatta betrayed him. And of course, arresting Rigathi Gachagua would also mean a simple thing, that he was going to win sympathy from the mountain. So he didn't want. So right now, I think William Ruto is in a situation where he has concluded that whether he arrests him or not, Mount Kenya is gone. But why do you think he's now planning to arrest Rigathi Gachagua? Number one, in my view, I think it is William Ruto's strategy to try and tame Rigathi Gachagua's wave in Mount Kenya. Rigathi Gachagua's wave is actually spreading like bushfire in Mount Kenya. How can he stop it? Arrest Rigathi Gachagua. Of course, you can argue that arresting Rigathi Gachagua might be counterproductive. Just like, when William Ruto impeached Rigathi Gachagua, some of us opined that William Ruto was making a mistake. And up to now, we all agree that William Ruto made a mistake. Maybe the timing or the rest of impeaching Rigathi Gachagua at that time. He's still dealing with the impeachment. I'm not so sure whether arresting Rigathi Gachagua now is going to help him, politically speaking, but he wants to use that arrest to tame the wave. Rigathi Gachagua being arrested, of course, according to our laws, will be there 24 hours. They'll go to court, they'll seek for bond, and will be released because it's not really criminal. Or, worst case scenario, they can seek for his detention pending further investigations. During that time, maybe Rigathi will not be able to go outside there, talk the way he's been talking. Of course, we also know that Rigathi Gachagua has actually made it very clear that he will still be able to direct his supporters even from committee. So for me, it's trying to tame Rigathi Gachagua through that arrest. I'm not so sure whether it's going to be effective. Number two, William Ruto, I think, wants to disorient the opposition. One thing is now very clear, that Rigathi Gachagua is now the bond that is binding the opposition. Just like when Raila Odinga was in the opposition, he was the one who was bringing them together. I'm trying to imagine a situation where Rigathi Gachagua was not there. Do you think Kalonzo can bring the opposition together? Do you think Eugene Wamalwa can? Who? Because when Kalonzo left Raila Odinga, one of the challenges they faced was that figure of Raila Odinga. William Ruto now understands that Rigathi has fitted very well. So he needs to arrest him, then disorient the opposition. Number three, and I think this is an old tactics which has always been used, sometimes effectively, sometimes flop. He's trying to scare the allies and supporters of Rigathi Gachagua. There is Sabasaba, which is coming up tomorrow. We had the protest by the Gen Zs on June 25th. Rigathi Gachagua was dragged into that, and several people, especially from the mountain, have been arrested. Rigathi yesterday told his supporters that those arrests are deliberate. Why? To scare his supporters from going out next time there is a protest. Because anybody who was seen, Rigathi quoted the number like 400 people were already arrested. So they want to scare the supporters and even leaders. If you are allied to Rigathi Gachagua and Rigathi Gachagua has been arrested, most of these leaders will fear. They'll go into hiding. And that's exactly what William Ruto is trying to do. Number four is to gauge the reaction from the mountain. Will Mount Kenya erupt? Will Mount Kenya explode if Rigathi Gachagua is arrested? That's the question. And that is the biggest issue they want to test. In case Rigathi is going to be arrested, which parts of Mount Kenya will react? Will they go to the streets? How will the leaders mobilize the supporters? They just want to get those links so that they will be able now to formulate a formula of trying to tame Rigathi Gachagua. And lastly, The reason why William Ruto has finally agreed or decided to arrest Rigathi is because he wants to deal with the consequences now. Let me tell you why William Ruto decided to impeach Rigathi Gachagua at that time. It became very clear to William Ruto that Rigathi Gachagua was reading from a totally different script. William Ruto was in the same situation with Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta did nothing. Yeah? Which meant William Ruto was still able to use his current office to organize his politics. He doesn't want Rigathi to do that. It meant William Ruto at that time was still able to use or to access state machinery. For example, going to a place, a DO, a chief, he would still call parastatal heads here, there. He doesn't want Rigathi to do that so that he can deal with the consequence. Let me impeach you. If I get it right, fine. If I miss it, fine. That's exactly what he is trying to do now. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what you think. That's my take. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. Bye-bye.